One item that I always caution my purchasers to utilize, a real tool in the kit, is obtaining an engineering inspection. You're buying a co-op or a condo in Manhattan. The general thought is you do not need an inspection because the larger systems in the building, the roof, the boilers, the water and the piping that runs throughout the building, the expectation there is that these larger issues, especially for a building with, say, 80 or 90 apartments, is that there's enough scale amongst all the shareholders that are going to collectively address any larger building issue. That is what's going to minimize that risk to you as a purchaser in a mid to large building in New York. Okay, that is a lot less the case. That's a lot less so of the case on a building like a 2 or 3 unit co-op in Brooklyn Heights in a townhouse. There, I think the stakes for an inspection are a lot higher because if that roof isn't in good order and there's only 2 or 3 people that are responsible for maintaining it, that can be a very significant cost that would be outside of play for your monthly maintenance. But why do we do an engineering inspection regardless? Let's talk about that 50 to 100 apartment or 150 apartment building. What are we looking for in trying to identify and bringing an inspector right before the contract is signed? Because by the time that contract is signed, there is nothing that you can change. Everything is going to be as is from that contract being signed to when you close, with the only expectation that the appliances and the general mechanics of the unit are in working order. Okay, that definition can really run thin where you have a 40-year-old HVAC unit that's still technically working, but it may not be working for long. So what are we looking for when we send in that inspector? I think the biggest item that I usually see from these inspections, because I generally want my buyers to do them. Sometimes if the purchase price is low enough, they may want to forgo the $700 or $800 purchase for the engineer. But one big item I look for is any presence of water, any leaks. And if you're running a moisture meter to the unit, areas where I've seen issues have included that perimeter around the windows. Okay, tricky area. I've seen an apartment that needed additional caulking alongside the window. Unfortunately, with the local law 11 underway at that building, they were able to address it before my purchasers even closed on the unit. So that was just a great thing to catch. And you're also trying to catch that, not just so that it could be repaired, but to make sure that black mold isn't potentially taking hold in the apartment, which can be beset by the presence of moisture, especially unwanted moisture. Another area where I'll see that is sometimes in the bathroom. And the assumption, I think, is that, sure, there's some water up on the ceiling above the shower because, of course, there is. There's steam that goes up to the ceilings and collects. Sometimes that's not always the case. The way that a lot of these buildings are constructed, you usually have your wet over wet, which means typically your kitchens or your bathrooms, they're all running on top of each other. So in many instances, if you are catching moisture above a bathroom, it may not just be from that exposure to the moisture from the shower or something in that sense, the steam from a hot shower. It can be a leak coming from above. And that's just something that you want to be aware of. Again, if it's been an issue for a long time, understanding it, seeing if it was addressed, seeing if it was documented in the board minutes. I actually had a purchaser have a leak documented in his unit from the person above him who just let the water run by accident and fell asleep. And that caused the leak, and it was documented in the board minutes. So making sure that your engineering inspection is running in line with your attorney's due diligence, you want those things to be working in parallel. You want to be verifying one with the other. And in the instance of finding out that there was a leak to the apartment, we went further into the due diligence on the building. We found out how the floors were repaired when that leak happened. We got the invoices for it. We understood the insurance that went into that repair and how the building addressed it. Okay, typically the building is going to be responsible in a co-op for that type of repair. So making sure that you're looped in with both your attorney and the inspector is super key. The inspector is probably going to issue about a 20 to 30 page report, taking photos of everything ranging from the age of the appliances to the age of the HVAC units, giving a sense of timing and cost around what it's going to be to repair those items and what that lifespan might look like. So getting all of that at a minimum may give you some leverage to negotiate a little bit further, right? If your HVAC unit's not working and it's the responsibility in the contract to deliver a unit that's in working order, I've seen sellers go back and send in a maintenance crew from an HVAC company to come in, clean up a whole unit, reinvigorate it, and put $500 to $1,000 into each unit to preserve the lifespan. You want that to be done before you sign the contract and understand that everything will be delivered in working order by the time you walk through to close on that apartment, because by the time you sign the contract, that's it. You're getting it as it is. There will still be the expectation that it's in working order, but your leverage shrinks a bit when it's the day of closing and you have competing minds that say, wait, is the AC working? Is it not working? It seems to be, maybe. We're now out of season for the AC. So getting all that ahead of time is really key and gives you a bit of a bargaining chip if you're in a softer market. So those are a couple of the items that I've seen. I think those are the big ones that I've seen through these. Of course, things can be pointed out that are extraneous. So I think it's important not to go overboard in asking for too much. Remember, it's not a new development apartment on a resale, so everything doesn't have to be delivered perfect. But catching those bigger items, I think, can save you a lot of headache in the future and potentially some money in the immediate term. So that's it on inspections. I recommend that my buyers always get one. If you have any questions, feel free to send them my way, and I look forward to connecting with you.